Okay, start.
My name is Erupesh. My registration number is 18 BCE 2010. We came here to introduce our machine learning project. The title is self-learning car using deep learning. We had user here algorithm, and my friend Jordan will take over.
Good morning, ma'am. My name is Elio Jordan Lopez, and my registration number is 18 BCE 2040. So, as Rupesh said, we have made a self-driving car using deep learning. And now we are going to explain about our project. Our project basically has three components. Rupesh, are you able to see this PPT?
Yeah.
Okay, so our project basically has three components. First one is the lane detection component, second one is the traffic sign classifier, and the third one is simulation using behavioral cloning. So the three main important topics to be discussed in a simulation of a self-driving car are object detection, object identification or recognition of an object object classification, object localization, and prediction of movement. Object localization takes place when you are actually simulating the car in a simulator, as well as object identification, if there are any barricades, any barriers, etc. So first what we have done is we have taken the image of a road with lanes, and then we have converted it into a grayscale image using OpenCV. Next, we have used edge detection techniques to detect only the edges in the image. The rest part turns black. Then we have used Kenny detector. Kenny is an algorithm which is used to detect edges and extracting a region of interest. So in this entire picture, our only region of interest is the road. So we have applied an image mask to the image, and then we have extracted the region of interest using the code here. Like you can see, we have converted the coordinates from this point till this point to white, and the others we have converted to black. Once we obtain the region of interest, we execute an AND operation on the Kenny operator and mask the image to obtain a line of the image road. So you put an AND operation on both of these images, and you use the bitwise operator to obtain this image. Once you obtain this image, you apply something called as Hough transformation. And Hough transformation, what basically does is it traces the lanes on the image of the road. Then the lines are not continuous, they are like broken. And whenever a car drives on the road, you need something that is continuous so that the car can traverse in that particular path without any hassle. So we have used we have done averaging of all these discrete lines to make continuous lines. And lastly, we have simulated the video wherein there's a continuous recording of a car going on the road, and then the lanes are detected in real time using these blue lines. The next part of our project is the traffic signs classifier, which is done using a convolutional neural network. So I'll be opening Jupyter Lab for this, and so this is the part where we classify the traffic signs. The data set is basically taken from a German data set which contains all the traffic symbols, and these traffic symbols are classified into 43 different classes. So we have used various Python frameworks such as Keras and TensorFlow, and from Keras we have imported something which are fundamentally important in a convolutional neural network, that is convolutional 2D, max pooling 2D, flatten, dropout, etc. So this is the data set that we have used. We have used read CSV to read the data set. So all these are classes such as no passing for vehicles over 3.5 metric tons, road work, slippery road. These are different classes which are part of the data set. So here are some images, and like different images fall in particular classes. So 0 is the speed limit, 1 is the speed limit, that is 30 kilometers per hour. Similarly, we have bumpy road at 22, and at 42 we have end of no passing by vehicles over 3.5 metric tons. So the index is from 0 to 42. Totally we have 43 classes. So here is how the data set is distributed. Like there are 42 classes here, 43 classes, and the number of images in each and every class. So we apply various transformations such as grayscaling in order to filter the images out so that the neural networks understands which image belongs to which particular class. Such as we have also applied equalize histogram function to apply a histogram equalization on the image. And here is our model. So our model basically consists of a sequential operator. Then we have applied several convolutions, and we have applied max pooling. Like basically every layer has 2 convolutions followed by max pooling, and we have the same 2 convolutions followed by max pooling. The activation function is the ReLU activation function, and then we have a flattened layer to flatten 2D images to 1D to a 1D layer. At last, we use a softmax activation function, which gives the probability prediction outcome. That is, if a particular image is there, it will try to classify based on the probabilistic outcome. The loss function is the usual categorical cross entropy function, and we have also evaluated the entire model based on the metrics, that is accuracy. So we have trained the model for 2000 steps per epoch and for about 10 epochs, and the validation data, and we have also applied a batch size of 50. So this is the model summary. The model has trained for 10 epochs, and you can see that we have obtained an accuracy of 98.11% and also a very low validation loss and a very high validation accuracy. So this is the part for accuracy versus epoch for the training and the test sets. Now we'll be going to the testing part. So this is an image which says that the maximum speed limit is 30. So when we import an image into our model, it will classify and it will give a predicted sign. So here the predicted sign is 1. Now let's go and check if it exactly matches the class. So we go to the index 1. And here you can see that the class 1 in this entire group of images is speed limit 30 kilometers per hour. So you can see that our model has given the predictions with correct accuracy. Similarly, this one is class number 29, and it has an image of a cycle. We can't figure it out, so we go to class 29 and check for the accuracy of the model. Yeah, so you can see bicycles crossing. So class 29 exactly matches our prediction. So the next part we go to is behavioral cloning. In behavioral cloning, we have various kinds of algorithms. In a self-driving car, we use various kinds of algorithms like YOLO, you only live once, which is an object detection algorithm. So I have discussed why we haven't used YOLO in our model and why we have gone with polynomial regression. So Rupesh will tell something about why we haven't used YOLO algorithm for our approach, and I will tell about the advantages of using polynomial regression. Rupesh, could you just tell about?
The main reason not using for YOLO algorithm is it requires so much memory and RAM, which due to which the self-driving cars is very difficult to run, because it takes a total RAM of the system and not allows the other programmings to take their part. So which intentionally only takes, which not allows other programs to run. So it is very difficult to use YOLO algorithm, and the training image is only done once. Again, it won't be doing again. So it will be a disadvantage for taking a proper decision. So the YOLO algorithm is not preferred.
Wait, my screen sharing is paused. Were you able to see the Jupyter notebook, Rupesh?
No.
Were you able to see this before?
Yeah, I'm able to see PPT, but I'm not able to see that notebook.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you able to see it now?
Yeah.
The notebook. Are you able to see the notebook?
Yes.
Okay, so ma'am, we are very sorry we were not able to screen share the notebook before. So this was a model that we made, and I'll just this were the classes, the batch size, the steps per epoch, the number of epochs. We have run it for 10 epochs, as I explained before. This is the plot for accuracy for each and every epoch, and here we can see that I had also explained about the prediction. So here the picture that we have imported is predicted as class 29, and you can just make a guess that it shows an image of a cycle. Now, if you go and check the data set images that we have, and it has predicted the class of 29. So here it exactly matches the class of images, which is bicycle crossing in our data set. Next, we go to behavioral cloning, as I said. So I'm going to share my screen again to that part of the project. And as Rupesh also explained about the disadvantages of using the YOLO algorithm, he said that it generally struggles with small objects that appear in groups such as flock of birds. Then it also struggles to generate objects in new or unusual aspect ratios or configuration, because all of it happens in real time. Now, the only reason why we went with polynomial regression algorithm is because polynomial regression provides the best approximation of the relationship between the dependent and the independent variables. Also, the broad range of functions can be fit under it, and it basically fits under a wide range of curvature. So, polynomial regression algorithm we have used because the car is traveling in real time, and it takes into account the various points on the road. Now, I'll just be explaining about how we were able to train the model for the self-driving car. So for the self-driving car, we had something called as the Udacity simulator. I'll be sharing the screen later. So what we do is we take the car and we just simulate it manually using the keyboard keys. And we drive the car for 3 laps around a total track. So what the model does is it takes the picture of each and every frame. It also takes the steering angles of at each and every instant, at each and every second and millisecond, and it generates a CSV file with the steering angle. So it gives a negative steering angle for the left turn, positive steering angle for the right turn, and for the straight, it gives a 0 degree angle if you're traveling straight. And also at each and every point, it notes the speed of the car. And we have trained the model, and we have noticed that the maximum speed of the car, it cannot exceed beyond 30 miles per hour. So this is just basically the introduction, and we have gone through 5 research papers to find about how we train a model for a self-driving car, and we came up with our approach. Now these are the these are so these are some of the libraries that we have used. We have used NumPy, Matplotlib. We have obviously used OpenCV since it is an object detection project, and we have used Keras with TensorFlow as the backend. And the layers, I'll be discussing about our model below. We have different kinds of layers for our model, and the data set is basically an data set that we have generated ourselves by simulating the car with by manually driving it to the data set. And so after getting the data set, we do image pre-processing. So I'll be going to my Jupyter notebook to explain the training done. So we take once we generate the model for our car, we get the steering angles, a plot of steering angles. So here you can see that most of the time we are driving the car in a straight manner. So we have angles at 0 degrees. And we also see that the angles are evenly spread at right and the left of this point. Rupesh, are you able to see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So angles are spread on the left and on the right. The negative angles denote the left turns, the positive angles denote the right turns. Then what we do is, if we train this model, it will be biased because most of the time our car will travel in a straight manner and it won't take the left turns and right turns. Since like for 3000 units, we have a 0 degree angle, and for less than 500 units, we have this left turns and the right turn. So what we do is we basically reduce the number of 0 degree angles in our project. That is, we have reduced it to 400 by deleting some large extra 0 degree angle values. Next, what we do is we split it into a training set and a validation set. We do this because so that our car model can be generalized and it can also be simulated on other tracks other than the track that we use. Next, at every instant, images of the track are generated. So in this, what we do is we try to augment the images by applying various algorithms. So here, we have done various transformations like zoom transformation, we have done panning of the image, we have done brightness alteration of the image, we are also doing flipping of images so that the car learns to take the left and right turn as intended. So now I'll be screen sharing the Jupyter module, Jupyter notebook model that we have used. Oh, okay, so this is the Jupyter notebook model that we have trained for our neural net, for our convolutional neural network. So this is the augmentation of image done. First one is we have done zooming of image. Zooming basically zooms inside the image so that the car learns the features properly. Next is the panning of image. You can see that the image has been panned inside. Like you can see the front part of the car over here, like it is actually quite a lot. And this, it is a little bit panned inside and you can see a little part of it. The next one is enhancing the brightness of the image. What it basically does is it increases the brightness of from the original image so that it can do feature extraction well. Next, it does image flipping. That is the right part of the image. You get a mirror image of your same image so that your model learns about learns how to respond to various situations. Then we define a function called as random augment. What it basically does is it does all these operations, that is zooming, panning, and brightness augmentation, as well as flipping in one function, and you get all the images here. Here you can see this is a panned image. Then this is a flipped image. So you get many images. Next, we go to the image processing part, where we convert the image from RGB to YUV. Now, YUV is a model that humans can read, and then we apply Gaussian blur method so that it becomes easy for feature extraction. So here is the Gaussian blur and YUV method applied on the image. Next, we split the data into training image and validation image again, since we have taken flipped images, zoomed images, and then we have used an NVIDIA model. Now, NVIDIA model is provided by NVIDIA Graphics Private Limited, which is an organization for computer graphics. So I'll be showing the architecture of the model in a different screen share. And we have trained the model, and we have used the activation function ELU instead of RELU in this place. And we have also added dropout functions. And here you can see that we have trained the model on 252,219 trainable parameters. And the model was run for 10 epochs. And we have plotted the graph for loss versus the number of epochs. So you can see that the loss function has degraded from 0.06 to 0.03, and the validation loss also has degraded from 0.0275, 0.0537 to 0.0275. So here you can see that we have a very less loss function, and you can see that we have trained the model really well, and our car will respond really nicely to the changes in the environment. Now we have trained the model. We use the model.save to save the model in our machine, and then I've simulated the entire project in Google Colab. So we download the model.h5 file into our project. Next, I'll be showing how we have made the socket IO. Rupesh will be explaining about how we have made the socket IO connections, and then I'll be simulating it by connecting the model with the car. Rupesh, just hold on. I'll just pause the video.
Okay. I'm sharing the screen.
Okay, wait. Just hold on for some time.
Okay.
Okay, share your screen and just explain about the Python Flask part.
Okay. You enable my share screening. I'm not able to share screen.
Yeah.
Give permission for share. Okay, you only open the Flask.
Okay. So you're opening the Flask part. Share screen and open the drag.py file. Are you able to see the screen?
Yeah. With socket.io connection, we use it Flask backend. It's a Python library which is very helpful for doing this. Initially, we declared an image processing function which takes the video and converts it according to our requirements. Next, in SIO on telemetry, it waits for the socket connection to get a request and runs the function and sends the return the details. Same as for next function, and so connect, which will allow you, which shows the connection details, and next at last send control. It will be sending the control details, how it should work and in which direction it need to go. Hence at last the function which runs the server. And
yes. Here you can see that we have imported the model into a Flask model to establish the functions, and at each and every instant we are passing the steering angle, the throttle and the speed into the console, into the Python console. Now I'll be simulating the model. So just hold on, I'll be sharing the screen. GitHub. Desktop. Velocity. Simulator. Windows default. Share screen. Share. And I got the prompt. So here I'll be establishing the connection with the model. So first of all, what we do is we activate a virtual environment in Python. So here I'm doing activate Flask app. So this will change from base. This will change from base to something called as Flask app, which is a virtual environment. Now I'll be going to the project directory where we have saved it. So it is on my desktop. Now I'll be executing the file which establishes the Flask connections. Okay, now I'll be running the simulator. And sharing to the simulator. So this is the simulator provided by Udacity for simulating self-driving vehicles. Okay, I'll be screen sharing again. So there are two modes. We have already done the training mode by driving the car manually using a keyboard. Now we are going to do it in an autonomous mode. So here you can see the car is able to respond to the changes in the environment. There are there is some loss of accuracy, so it will go towards the left, but still it won't go and hit the barricade. it will take a turn towards the right. So it is driving automatically and it is responding very accurately to a model. And I'll be screen sharing the video for about 1 lap till the car drives 1 lap. And then I'll be closing the screen. And then we'll be giving the conclusions regarding our project. Since there are no lanes provided in this simulator, it is not able to do lane detection. But if we were given a simulator which had lanes in it, then it would have responded to the lane because we have imported it in our model. So that's it. The car has completed about 1 lap, and now I'll be screen sharing to the Python console and explaining all the details that we got. So here, since I've stopped the simulator, at every point it is giving the coordinates. So the left turn is 0.02 degrees, and as well as the right turn. Sometimes it takes a right turn at 0.04 degree angle, and this is the speed. It's 30.18, 30.18, 30.18. So we have noticed that the maximum speed the car can go to is about 30.19, as you have seen in the simulation. Rupesh, were you able to see the car driving?
No.
You are not able to see the car before.
Yeah, before, yeah, it's work. Yeah.
Okay. So now we are jumping to the conclusion part of our project. Since this was a long project. Okay, this was the model that we trained on. We trained the car on. This is the NVIDIA model. Are you able to see this model?
Yeah.
Okay. So these are the images that we put of the simulation. Here is the details, and this is the model that we use, that is polynomial regression for driving the car, for simulating the car. And we'll be jumping to the conclusions now. So as I've explained, we get a maximum speed of 30.19 miles per hour, and the car responds to all barriers, barricades, turns, etc. by responding to the environment by virtue of its perception on the basis of the trained model. Now, the negative values in the console corresponded to the steering towards the left, and the positive values correspond to the steering towards the right. And the average speed of the car was around 30 miles per hour. And this proves that the model has very less bias in it, and the data has been balanced, and overfitting and underfitting has been eradicated from our model. And also the autonomous vehicle is able to run itself on any generalized track with the same training and validation accuracy. So you can see various companies such as Tesla, Daimler, which are working on self-driving cars. So basically, this is going to take a lot of time for our country to adopt self-driving vehicles because of the condition of the roads, and also, like, compared to other countries, our town planning is not so good. So self-driving cars are going to face a hassle in doing it, and also the evaluation of new algorithms, etc., will also improve the credibility of self-driving cars, and if they were to be adopted in this world. So this was the end of our project, and thank you so much. Have a nice day.
Thank you.